Hello there, and welcome back to our ASP.NET Core API from scratch with clean architecture and CQRS. That's what we are working on for quite a while now. And the last time out, yesterday, we did some stuff. We actually, I guess, finalized the validation on the domain model. We have added validation to all our domain classes, I guess, and we have started to implement this new endpoint for posts. Now, the endpoint for posts is very, very important because we have there also comments, and we'll also have to look into these nested resources. And I really just wanted to finish this up and then go into another very interesting topic, but probably not today, next time, and that would be authentication and authorization. So yeah, my goal for today is to just finish this posts endpoint, but I would like to look at one thing before we get going. I would like to take a look at our domain. Where is our domain? Here. And we have this post, okay, and here in this post aggregate we have user profile ID and user profile with the navigation property, which is actually okay. But what I wanted to take a look is, you see that here in this user profile, so from the user profile, do I also want to be able to get the comments as a navigation property? I'm not sure about that yet. Have this user profile ID, identity ID, basic info, date created and last modified. This is everything that we have here on the user profile. I guess we'll think about that afterwards. Here I have this GUID and user profile. Okay. Yeah, we'll see, because actually I'm not sure if we want to just retrieve the comments of a certain user. That's actually all the posts of a certain user. I guess that would be very easy to do, because we can still use Entity Framework Core and just retrieve the posts based on a user ID, and that would be okay. So it doesn't really matter if we have a navigation property on the user profile or not, I guess, at least. Okay, so we have this user profile. Good. Let's go back to the API endpoint, and let's look into what we have there. Okay, post controller. This is the controller on which we are actually working on, and we have implemented this get all posts and this get by ID method. We also validate the GUID, so we make sure that we have a correct GUID. That's actually an action filter that we have created, so everything should be fine with that, I guess. Okay, so then the next thing would be to actually create a post, and probably we'll have to set up different things for that. Let's start. Public async task off. My action result. Also, please let me know if you can hear me and if you can see me well enough, or the screen at least. So task of action result. Create post. Okay, so this will be first of all an HTTP post. Yeah, this is an HTTP post. The route would actually be exactly the one that we have here for the controller, because it's it's on the main post endpoint. We don't need to provide any ID, so it's okay from this point of view. Now, one other thing that we would need here, actually we don't need to do any validation. Let me just look at user profile. And how did we get user profile by ID? Get user profile. Okay, well, this only is validate model, which actually validates. Now that I'm looking into this model state, okay, yes, we have the model state. That's okay. I guess that's how it is supposed to be. Okay, so create post, then yeah, let's validate model. That's what we want to do before the action gets executed. That's actually a filter. So the next thing is we need a body, and this means that we need a contract for that body. So posts and requests. How did we name user profile create update? Okay. Let's add new class here. Public class post create. Okay. I guess we are fine with that. And for the properties, let's just look into our domain model and see exactly what actually we need from there. So when you are creating a post, there are a lot of things that you don't need to provide. Like for instance, I guess we need user profile ID. Yes, let me just copy over those here, but probably we won't use all of them. That's for sure, I guess. Okay, so we don't care about user profile because we don't really need that. Now, for now, we also don't need this one. Actually, I guess the only thing that we would need is the text content, but for now we also don't have a way to actually get user ID from a JSON authentication token. That's what we'll implement probably starting next time. So until then, we'll just also keep around this GUID, which is user profile. So when you create a post right now, the only thing that you need to provide is text content and user profile ID. So that's kind of it. Now, the important thing is that here we can also say this is required. Okay. Now, this is also a GUID. So maybe here we would have to adapt our validate GUID attribute to also do that. To also be able to validate properties. Although this is actually kind of like a little bit dynamic, so I guess it would be hard to exactly say where exactly to look for this one. Because we do the validation of the GUIDs from the URLs. That's how things work. Now for the text content, we will mark it as required. First of all, I'm not sure if we have to mark a maximum length for the text. Let's do that. For now, let's make it, I don't know, maybe 1000 characters. That would be enough. So that's all the validation that we would need. By the way, if you have any questions or if you just want to get in touch, just don't be shy and feel free to use the chat. I would be more than happy to get a discussion going. You know that I always like that. So until then, let's go back to this post controller. So here we will have from body post create new post, missing a reference. Okay. Yeah, I guess it should be okay. Now, the only thing that we need, we actually don't really need to provide anything here else than that. So we have this one. Let's create right now a command and a command handler to actually accommodate this. So where do we have? In this application layer, okay, we have these posts and command. Class. Create post. That would implement iRequest, not the iRequest handler, but the iRequest. And what we return, we always return an operation result. In this case, an operation result of post. And the post is actually from our domain. Okay. Guess we have too many angle brackets. What's the problem? Incorrect number of type parameters. Okay. It's iRequest of operation result of post. Why is this number incorrect? Because it's iRequest and then it's from mediator, which is okay. Then we have this operation result. That's kind of a little bit weird. Because it's exactly the same thing that we have here. We actually don't need this. So let's delete that. What is the problem? Now that's a very strange thing. Let's just do again. Probably I have a typo somewhere. So it would be an operation result of post. Yeah, there was a typo somewhere. I really didn't notice that. Okay, and here we will need, first of all, two properties. Public GUID and user profile ID. And then we'll need also public string text content, and that's actually what we need. Okay, so we have this one. Then we'll have a handler for that. We have commons and common handlers in this folder. For let's just maybe close this user profiles just to not get distracted by it. So create post handler. Okay, we an iRequest handler of create post. This is the command. And then the second type parameter should be what we return, and what we return is a post. And for that, I guess we also need to import the missing reference. Okay. But okay, once again, I guess something's weird here. I'm not sure exactly why. How did we name create post? That's how we named our command. So if we go there, it goes there, and it's an operation result of post. Okay. We don't return a post, but we return an operation result post. So it would be like that. Okay, and now the only thing that we need to do is implement the interface, of course. So yeah, let's see what we'll implement here. Async task. Okay, and here what we will need is private read only. We will need a data context, of course, and the constructor. In the constructor, we also get the data context, and we'll assign it. Okay, that would be fine. Good. Now, what do we do here in the handler itself? So in the handler, first of all, we need to actually create a new post. For that, we have on post this create post method that takes in user profile ID and the text content. Okay, so that's fairly cool. Validation result. Okay, and it could throw an exception, post not valid exception, which we have to actually care about here. So var post equals create post, and then the information that we need we take from the request, from the command itself, because we have user profile ID and we have this request dot text content. So that's actually it. So we know that this could also try an error, throw an exception. So let's try to actually put everything into a try catch. Now this one we'll place here, and outside the try we've just used structural navigation. It selects next previous code element. Okay, close. I'm using Rider, by the way. I'm fairly new to it, so there are some things that I don't really fully understand in this IDE, but for now I guess it's very, very nice, and for me it's working quite well. Okay, so try here var result equals new operation result post. So if we can catch an exception, let's see what exception throws this one. Okay, in class post. Now, go on mouse more. Okay. That's what I want to do, but it actually doesn't show everything that I want. That's not nice. It doesn't show because you should have told me this. We need to add here. Create new post instance. Okay. User profile ID. Post content returns. How was this? Cref. And it would return a post. Okay. And as an exception, it throws this post not valid exception. We'll just take that from here and we'll go back to our command. So we want to catch that exception first. Of course, we need to import missing reference in file. Okay. So if we have this type of exception, then there are some things that we need to do. I guess we take this once again from the user profile because we have done that already there. So just to be consistent, I will do it like this right now. So in the command handlers for the create new user command, we have this thing here. But we actually don't want to return the result, you see. Result. It's actually good that we did take a look here, because the result, I just don't want to return it here in the catch. It doesn't really make sense, because it could be at a certain point that we add some other catches, and I just want to go through all of them if possible. So the result will return at the end. This one. Yeah, I'm thinking right now, but I guess this should theoretically work. Because it catches the exception, we don't do actually anything here. We just create our errors, and then at the end we just return the result after we have set what we wanted to set. So it's something like that. Okay, so that's what we want to have also in our... Did I copy that? No. So user profile not valid exception. I guess we just need this part right now. So we have this, we don't want to throw here anything. So first we have this result is error, we set it to true. Then we have this e validation errors for each, because we know we have validation errors on this exception. That's our custom exceptions. And here we have our new error. Here I guess we just also need to import something. And here this would be the message. What's the problem with that? Cannot resolve symbol message. Okay, why can't you do that? No way, because E and E. That's a problem. Let's name this error. But then it's also not okay. Let's name this ER. And then here that would be an ER. Message. But why not? Because it should have the property message. It's kind of strange. And because we have here for each E, this is a string here. Yeah. Okay, let's go back. So we have here for each, because in the validation errors we have a string. So for each error, we have a new error, which will have the code, and in this case it would be the validation error, and the message would actually be not this one, but it should be just this one, like that. And I guess we have to also fix that here. Let me check once again, because we have exception message. Okay. No, because okay, we have the list of errors, but for the message we want to put the message that we have in the exception. I guess that's correct in the end. Okay, so strange e dot message. So right now it should be okay. Cool. And let's also return a result. And let's also have another catch if something happens that, well, it's not an exception that we know about. We have a new catch here, which will catch the general exception. Okay. And here, once again, let's just look in the user profile. It's actually this one. Okay. Cool. So we are fine with that right now. We return the result in the end. Result error, result is error equals true. Errors.add error. Okay. Ignore error message and message. Correct. Good. So yeah, I guess that's quite nice what we have right now. So we can just focus back once again here on this post creation. So because right now we just focused on the exceptions that this could throw, but if it doesn't really throw an exception, we have here a new post, which means that we can simply go to the context posts.add, and we can add this this post, and then we can await context.save changes async. Okay, and if everything goes right, then what we would need to do here is we'll have this from the result, the is error will be false, because false is the default value for bool. So the only thing that we would need to actually set here is result.payload, and the payload result would be the post that we have just created, which by now should also have an ID. And I guess that should do it, most probably. And we don't have any errors, and yeah, that's quite nice. Okay, so we can go back to our post controller. What we'll also need here, let's start and we'll see what we need. So var command equals new create post. And we can use this object initializer here. And we want to set the user profile ID equals with a new post with user profile ID, and the text content would be new post, and the text content for that. Okay, so right now we have a new command. The next thing that we would do is we would simply send this command var result equals await mediator send, and we send the command. Now, if the result is an error, then we just have to return some bad things. It's like this one actually. Or very similar at least. So if the result is error, then we want to handle the error response, and this will throw some this will actually generate an error response that is constant throughout all endpoints. And this one, actually we don't want to return okay here. Let's maybe go on a different line. We want to return created at action. Okay, and here name of how is this action called? Get by ID. Get by ID. That should be okay. Then the next thing that we should provide is a new object. And what do we need to provide there? We need an ID for the get by ID route. What does this constant hold? Let's just take a look into it. Yes, it's ID. This is what we need to provide. Okay, we are cool with that. ID equals, and it would be result dot payload dot user profile ID. Where is it? Here. And then what we will also return is the body, which will consist or will contain the just created post. However, we need to map that. For map equals mapper.map, and we already have a map for that because it's the same thing that we want to return. Post, how is it defined in the contract? Post response, I guess. And we want to map from the result and the payload. I guess that should be okay. Cool. And then we just will put this also in the body. So more or less, I guess we should be good to go with this create post method. Okay. Let's go one step further. When it comes to update post, let's maybe just rename that contract. Or no, because we have this post create, we'll have a new one for post update. This for now. Because when you want to update a post, you can't really update the author of the post. So the user profile ID will always remain the same. So the only thing that you can right now update in a post is actually the text of the post. So this means that we'll need a different construct here for this one, a post update, and that would contain public string text. Okay, so that would be all. So if we go back here to our post controller, let's try to implement a new method. Public async task of I action result update post text. Good. So let me just take a look at the user profile because I want to be consistent and I don't remember if we did use a patch or a put here. So we have this update user profile, we have used patch. So we will continue with that. So it will be an HTTP patch. Now, the only thing that we would need here is know exactly what we want to update. We also need to provide this ID routes, API routes, and in the API route we should have posts, and then we have this ID route. Okay, so that would be the route. Then it means that we have the ID that should be in the form of a GUID. So it means that we will have, or we will need this validate GUID. And the key that we are looking for is ID because that's how we call that. So that should be fine, I guess, with the validate. And we also need a validate model. Okay. And for the model, post update, let's just make this required. Okay. So that's the only thing that we want to actually do here. Okay. And then it means that in the body, we'll have here a post update. Okay. And then we will have to actually perform some stuff here. So what do we need to perform? We need a command and a handler for that. That's actually the only thing that we really need. So a command add class interface, and it will be update post text. It will be an I request, and it will return back. What will it return back? The updated resource. So it's an I request. Of course, he will need to add a reference to mediator, and what we need here is will return an operation result of post, because it will return the updated post. Okay, and as a property, we need only the text. Public string new text. Okay, so that would be the command, and then we need a handler for that. Update post text handler. So this would be an I request handler. It would be an update post text. That's the actual request that we are looking for. And let's just import missing reference, and it will return an operation result of post. Okay, and now we just need to implement the interface, and we'll be good to go with this handler. Async. private read-only data context, and we need also the constructor. Here we'll take in a data context and we'll assign it to our field. Okay, good. So we have the data context, and that's virtually everything that we need. So how do we implement this action right now? So first of all, we need var result equals new operation result. Okay, and it would be a new operation result of post, so that would be the payload for that. Now, one thing that we still need here in this update post text command is the ID of the post. Public GYD. That's also something that we will need to provide as an information, because otherwise we don't know exactly for what post to actually look at. So we have here then, let's have this try. And in this try, what we'll do here? So var post equals await. So on the context, guys, we have these posts, and we get it directly from the database. First or default async, and we are looking for a post for which the post ID is equal to the ID that we have in the request. Okay, so that's what we are looking for. So here this would be okay, here we would retrieve a post. Now this post can be null, and we have the exact same scenario where we get a post by ID, but in the handler, query handler, get post by ID handler. So if post is null, we just have to return this one. So yeah. So if post is null, then result is error equals true. Here we just need to add a reference. Message no. Okay, so that's will be fine, and then we return the result, because if it is null, we just don't want to do anything else. So here's where we actually want to return and stop everything. Okay, so yeah, but if this is not null, then another thing that we want to do here is on post, we have this update post text, and here we can just provide request.new text, and this will update the property on the post. This is the whole thing, or the whole point about having a domain, a rich domain model, because we have moved a lot of behavior there, which is quite okay for me. And I think it's really a best practice, at least for medium-sized applications, or starting from medium-sized application. It's really nice to have a rich domain model. It will actually help you with a lot of bugs. We would have far less bugs. Instead of putting everything just into a big service, you put everything in each domain model where it actually belongs. And if everything was done here after this post was updated, it means that, well, we can, for instance, say here, await context.save changes async, and it would save the changes. So what we will do then is on the result payload equals post, and we just return the result. So that would be okay. And for the create, we do return the result. No, we don't return the result. No, because the result will be returned here. Okay, yeah, of course. Okay, so we are good with that. Now we need to say here if we have some exception. This update post text. Okay, we can have still this post not valid exception, so it's exactly the same thing that we have here. Okay. Yeah, so it's exactly the same exception that we also had previously in this create. We can just copy over this block and reuse that. Okay, so if then we can just catch post not valid exception, import reference. Okay, and we should be good with that. And we can also implement this other part. If entity framework throws an error or something else throws an error while working on this one, we also just want to actually return this as a result is error and add that information. So then we return the result and we should be fine, I guess, with that. So, okay, we have implemented also this create or this update, and I guess it should everything be fine. Do I have any errors? Where do I have errors? Let me see. Return statement is missing. Okay, where? Ah, okay, in my controller. I didn't work on the action so far. So yeah, that's what we'll fix now. Okay, I guess we have right now everything what we need. It's var common equals new update post text. I guess it was. Yeah. And here we can use also an object initializer, and what we need to provide here as an information, update post text once again. So we need user ID, the post ID and the new text. So that's what we actually need. Okay. So the new text is something that we will take from updated post text, and the post ID will actually take from the route. And yeah, actually, yeah, that's key ID and string ID. I guess that's something that we will have to also work a little bit later. Now, if we arrive at this point, we know for sure that this ID can be parsed as a GUID. So GUID parse, and we have this ID that we get there, but here is not semicolon. So right now we have the command, everything's okay. Then var result equals await mediator.send. So we have this mediator.send. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, so what do we want to send? This command. That's what we want to send. Okay. Now, this result could still be also an error. And we'll do something like previously return result.is error. So, but not like that. So result. Why? Okay, because I have a typo here. It's result. That's what I want to have. So if return result is error, if that's true, so if we have errors, then we just handle error response and we pass in the errors that we get. And otherwise, we just return, I guess, no content. I guess that's the way we did that. Okay, but here let's take a look, because in this get by ID, okay, yeah, we have string ID. Okay, we are good with that, and we have actually we did exactly the same thing. So as this is already verified in that action filter that we have for the validate GUID, when we arrive here, we can assume that it can be parsed. Otherwise, the execution will actually not even arrive here. So yeah, that's okay, and I guess that's really quite okay then. And here we have this update post text, which is also okay. So yeah, let's now the last thing. Let's have the delete public async task of action result delete post. Now what do we need here? We need, first of all, this would be an HTTP delete. Okay, then we would have a route here. Here we have this API routes, posts, and then this ID route, because we get the ID from the route. And this means that we'll also have to validate the GUID. And once again, the string is ID. And here we don't have actually a model to validate, but we need here a string ID. It will be mapped actually from our routing param. Okay, so we should be good with that. Right now, yeah, like we did also previously, what do we need? Of course, we need a command for that, and we need a handler for that. So let's add a command. Delete post. So that would be an I request that would return an operation result post. Okay, Alt Enter, and it will have everything. Now the only thing that we need here is public UID post ID. That's the only information that we actually need to pass from the controller to the handler, and we achieve that by passing that information through the command or through the query. That's how we do these things in this CQRS pattern. So that would be everything that we need here. Now let's go to the handlers and add a handler for that. So here, update, no, it was delete post handler. Okay, so this one should inherit from I request handler. Where is it? Here. And the command for this is delete post. Okay, so we need to import this reference, and the return type is once again an operation result of post. Okay, why doesn't it see the operation result? Okay, we're good with it right now. So we need to implement the interface. First of all, let's mark this as an async. And I guess I know there's some other thing that we need to do. We need to update all our controller methods to work with cancellation tokens. That's a very, very important part. To just pass cancellation tokens. So yeah, we'll totally do that. But right now, private read only. Private read only data context. Let's name it context, and we also need a constructor for that. Okay. Cool, we are okay with that. Now here, what we do in this implementation, here we won't have actually any errors thrown by other things that may be EF core. So var result equals new operation result of post. Okay, but entity framework core can also throw errors. So let's have this try, and in the catch, let's maybe we just need to implement this generic one. We don't want to throw things, we just want to make sure that we have everything here. We need an error code, and after everything is completed, we can return the result. Okay, now the only thing that we need to do here is once again var post equals await context of posts first or default async, and we are looking for a post for which the post ID equals to request dot post ID. Now the only thing that could happen here once again is we can have null, so maybe they provide a GUID that we don't find in a database, and in that case we just need to do that. Okay, so if post is null, then we have this error, no post found with ID and the request and post ID, and we just return the result, because in this case we just want to return. We don't want anything else to continue to happen. But if everything is okay, instead of having this, what we can do is I needed a little bit of water. So well, if the post is not null, then what we can do is simply, well, context.posts.remove, and we want to remove the post, and await context.save changes async, and that should be okay. And if everything completes correctly, we just result.payload equals post, and that's the last time that anybody will see this post, because it just got deleted from the database. So this exact post will never be there again, ever, like ever. Cool. So right now we have also this delete part, which means we have the handler for that, but we still need to implement the controller action. So what we need here? Well, we need var comment equals new delete post, and the only thing that we need to provide is post ID equals QID.parse ID. So that should be okay. Then var result equals await mediator.send, and here what we want to send is the command, of course. Cool. Now the same thing happened if the return result is error. Okay, so if it is an error, we have this handle error response, and then we just provide the errors. Otherwise we return not found. From what you have seen till now, what do you think about Rider as an IDE? What's your general feeling about that? Or are you maybe already using Rider as your IDE of choice, or you're working with Visual Studio? Just let me know. That would be very, very nice of you. Okay, so we have this delete post, and I guess that's already a part where we can maybe just try this API out. So let's just run that. Let's just run that. Okay, it has started. Let me bring that to the other screen. Okay, so we have these posts, but before we go with the posts, let me just we just want to get user profile ID from the database. Okay. Well, here's an ID for user profile. Cool. So let's just copy that. Okay. And then we can go over to this posts. And let's start with the creation of a post. So try it out. Okay. This is the first thing that I don't like. Theoretically, here there should have been. Okay, so let's close that. Let's also stop the application, and let's take a look here. So we have this create post. So it is an HTTP post. We have this validate model, and we have this post create, which we should get from the body. Why does the API was there anything else that we did here for the post? Oh, HTTP post and validate, and then from body user profile create update and profile. And yeah, that's kind of strange. I'm not sure exactly why that exactly happened, because we have this post create, which is a regular object, but this is a GUID. Not. Let's change that. That should be a string. But I guess it can't really parse automatically. Okay, and then where is the problem? Okay, and here dot parse, and this is what we want to parse. Okay, maybe we had a problem here. Let's try it out once again. However, we still need to copy once again the user profile ID, because I have copied something else already to the clipboard. So yeah, but we'll do that, no problem. So let's get user profile first, try it out, execute. Okay, so we have here this user profile ID. That's nice. Now let's go here. But that's strange. I really don't understand why here this body is empty. Theoretically, it should be populated. Like if we go here to user profiles, if we have this post, you see it's like that. We have this first name, so we have everything there. What am I missing? What is not correct? So we have this HTTP post method. We have this validate model. HTTP post validate model. That's the only things that we have. And then we have this from body, and here we have user profile, and here we have this post create. Okay. Then we create a new command. Then we return this created at action. Maybe something here is not okay, but it seems to be okay. Of course, here we just also map the response, but I guess exactly the same thing we also do here. We just map the response. Okay, guys, so if you noticed what is wrong here, then just please let me know, because I'm public class. Now this is a string, and this is also a string. Everything is public. I'm really not sure what happens here. Why doesn't actually Swagger automatically populate the body with this post create? That's a good question that I really can't find an answer to that. Let's maybe look once again, and maybe we'll have an error here. Still like that. No errors logged here. Yeah, so nothing's logged. But I really do not understand what is the problem here. Let's you see, the patch is okay. So the patch is okay. There's no problem with the patch. Everything's okay. The only problem is with this. Let's see, the get by ID and response. Okay. Doesn't really know exactly how the response is. Let's get by ID. Yeah, but I guess it's the same. But I'm still baffled. Okay, so for the update, everything's okay. So this gets populated, this schema. But for this one, for the post, Swagger somehow is not able to actually fetch that information. And I really don't understand why. What is different? So we have this create post and update post. Of course, we just have here different things. This is the post create and this is the post update. I don't know. I'm just curious where the problem is if we use the post update. But that's not. Okay. So guys, I'm a little bit stuck here because something's happening here and I really don't understand why. Because Swagger is not fetching the body and it's not creating the body for the post, for instance. But it's doing actually everything okay for the patch, which we do exactly the same way. Of course, we just use a different contract here that has only the text, but that should, of course, not be the problem. And it's exactly the same. Everything is the same. Post create. No, that's totally strange for me right now. I really don't understand what happens here. This is an HTTP post. It's totally, and here, if we compare to the create user profile, it's exactly the same. We have the HTTP post, validate model, from body, and everything is okay. So what's actually the problem here? I don't know, let's maybe don't use this from body attribute. ASP.NET Core should, however, be able to actually map this also without that attribute, but theoretically, that shouldn't actually do anything. It feels like Swagger doesn't really like something here. I don't understand what. Once again, post. Oh, it's the same. Okay. You know what? Let's switch this back. Also use the from body attribute, and let's maybe just try this out. Okay. And try it out if it actually works. If we let's maybe put a breakpoint here. We need the user profile ID and the text content. Let's you know what? Let me have a notepad here. And let's just try to create this JSON property first. So we would have, first of all, the user profile ID. Of course, we don't care about the identification here. And the next thing would be text content. That would be my first post. Okay. And let's just try it out. Because if something's wrong with the endpoint, I expect to get an error or something. Because I'm really not able to tell what the problem is right now. It's so strange because everything's the same like for all the other endpoints, and still, okay, so we have this post, try it out. So for the body, let's just replace that with what we have here. Now the only thing that we still need is from the user profiles to get user profile ID. So that should be okay. When it gets the ID, of course. It also takes a little bit long. Why does it take so long? Strange. Strange things happen here. So let's just provide that one. And yeah, let's just execute. Response status 400. Okay. Bad request. The text content field is required. User profile ID field is required. Okay, but I have provided them. So somehow ASP.NET Core is not able to bind the model. I think I know why. Or I don't know, I have a hunch. Okay, common type. Okay. User profile ID. Yeah, this was for user profile. Okay, so let's is there anywhere a naming clash? Post create. I mean, the problem is that it actually hits this one. Cannot find. Why don't? Okay, it actually enters here, and it says that the model state is not valid, which is very, very strange, because it seems that all of those are null. So ASP.NET Core can't really get them. But why does that happen? Post create. I'm really baffled about this. I really don't have any idea about what's happening right now. So ASP.NET Core somehow is not able at all to see anything that we put in that body, and therefore it's not able, or Swagger is also not able to actually create that that template, so that I can use that. So, and I wonder why. Is there a naming clash, or what exactly is the problem? Because this is from body. It's exactly like we have here for for the update, and here everything works perfectly. So here we don't have any problem at all, only here. Maybe it's also too late, I guess. But yeah, I really don't have this. You know what? Let's have this post update. And let's go into post update and also add user profile ID. Public string. And I just want to try it out like that. Okay, and the new post. How was it? Text is just text. Okay. So I'm curious if it, sorry, without semicolon here. I'm really curious if it will work this way, because that's kind of strange. So let's start it again and hope for a better outcome. Although this is really a very weird one, so definitely it's a very weird one. Yeah, it works right now. It works with this one. Why doesn't it work with the other one? That's so strange. That's really strange. So try it out. Okay. So text and user profile ID. User profile ID is something that we will need to get first. Try it out. Execute. So if you have any idea on why actually we have this problem, then please let me know, because I honestly don't know. It's simply like ASP.NET Core is not able to do the binding on that class, which is very strange. Okay, so we have this user profile ID, which we should provide here. And let's provide us the post text. And 201 created. So it created this post. That's kind of very nice. Let's copy the ID of this post. Okay, and let's get a list of the posts. Okay, that's okay. Let's get the post by ID. Okay, that also works. Let's patch the post. Let's update it. Try it out. So the ID is this one. Of course, we just need also to provide user profile ID, but it's not something we'll provide right now. We'll just have this hello world. Okay, here it was a bad request because the user profile ID is required. Okay, it is required. We require also the user profile ID. Okay. Let's just come back to this a little bit later. And the delete. Try it out. ID. That should be the ID. And 404. Okay, what was the problem here? Title not found. Status. Okay. But why we have this message here? This delete is also strange. Because I guess that's the user ID, but it's still not what I would have expected. So let's once again maybe try again. But I guess that the ID was correct. So that would be the post ID. 28A, yeah, it's 404 not found. So that's okay because no post found with ID 28. Okay. But why didn't you, or why are you not able to find that? Because this get by ID. Okay, not found. So somehow it was deleted, even if we did get yeah, that was deleted when we tried to delete that. Okay, so we will for sure have to look into this one to check exactly what happened there. Yeah, because we have an empty list, so it was deleted. But let's figure out what the problem actually is with that one, because I really hate that what happens here. So we have this create. I want to have this. So the post update works perfectly. Now the post create unfortunately doesn't work. Only question is why. Updating type of, okay, I'm also running the application, so let's just close that. Okay, so we have this post create. So this one doesn't work. My question is, why doesn't this work? It's a public class. It has public properties. It's exactly the same that we have actually on all the others. So let's go and see our contracts. Requests, post update. Could it be because of the string length property? At this point, I'm just trying to actually figure out, because that's not exactly how it would be supposed to work. Okay, so let's put a breakpoint once again here, and let's debug that. Debug, so that we hit also the breakpoints. That's a little bit frustrating when things happen and you really don't have any clue why they happen. Okay. So, posts still doesn't work. Okay. So I really don't get it. What is wrong here? Has post create and then nothing. It's just empty. It's just empty. That's so strange. Very, very strange. Let's try another thing. Let's change the name of this. Post create, let's call it post create DTO. I don't know. And let's go in our controller. What's the problem right now? Okay, it says the application is still running. Okay, so it has right. I have changed the name of the class. I don't know. This would help in any way. From body, everything's exactly as it is supposed to be. Okay, let's debug it again. And let's see if this time it is any different. By the way, guys, you're looking here. If you notice and if you saw what the problem is, because I might not look outside the box enough, so I could really use another pair of eyes. So if you have any idea why we have this problem, then just please let me know. But it's not user profile, it's post. Still doesn't work. So it's not because of the name of the class. That's for sure not a problem with the name of the class. So yeah, let's just go back here to post create. our contracts, post create. So this is the namespace. Is it a problem with the namespace? No, because this is a new feature of C# actually, 10, where you have these namespaces where you don't have to actually provide uh, curly braces for them. I guess this feature is called file scope namespaces. So that's okay. And then it's a public class post update, and it has some properties. And then post create public class, and it has some properties. Oh my god. Oh my god. I really can't believe that. I really can't believe that. Oh, and it was in front of my eyes all the time. It was all the time just in front of me. Setters were private. Okay, that's weird. It's weird that I'm staying here for, I don't know, 15 minutes or 20 minutes and not seeing that the problem is that those setters are private. Yeah, let's debug that again. Although right now we are just running, we are not debugging, but we also have to look into the delete problem, because when we hit delete, we actually had this problem that yeah, of course it's working right now. Good. So we know for sure that this one is working, but let's have here user profiles, because I want to create a post so that we can try out the delete once again and check exactly what happens. We'll probably also need to debug that to set some breakpoints to see exactly where the problem might be. Okay, so let's take user ID from here. And let's create a new post here. Try it out. So here is the user ID, and here's the post text. Hello world. Okay, execute. And 201 created, everything's okay, so we have a post. And this is the ID of the post, which is okay. Cool. And I guess right now I would have to close this and start it once again, because you know, it's Shift F5. No, it's not Shift F5. Alt F5. Yeah, Alt F5 should be the debugger. But yeah, we don't want a breakpoint here, but instead what we want is breakpoint here, and we also want breakpoints in the handlers, or in the handler for this delete. Okay, because something weird is happening here. Because this is null, but it still is able to delete that. So yeah, or maybe, yeah, I guess we'll see that. So let's try to debug that. So we want to delete a post. So let's have here this delete. Try it out. Okay, and execute. That should hit our endpoints, of course. So the first endpoint that we did hit is this delete one. Okay, that's fair enough. So we create a command, the post ID. Post ID. Okay, we have it. Okay. Okay, the problem is that we actually need the toString, or no, because what we need to provide here is the GUID directly, not a string, but a GUID. So that should be okay. So we hit this handle method, which is okay. That's That's exactly what we would expect. So what does happen next? So we get into this try, and we have this post ID. Okay, why does the name P not exist here? Okay, it goes to the database, and post is not null. Post is okay. So until here, everything is okay. Now, context remove. Okay, context save changes, and the result payload. And we also have this one. So we return the result, which is error is false, and it has the post. Okay. Not sure exactly what happens here. Okay, that's a little bit weird because we got into the mediator library. Okay, so let's maybe just go back to the controller. Post controller, and let's also put a breakpoint here. And let's just continue. Okay. So something broke somewhere here, I guess. Because right now we already got this 404 error. But we actually didn't hit this breakpoint again. As we see, the post itself was deleted. Async and await, we have that. And mediator send command, okay. Where do we have this? Console. Database command executed. Okay, so the delete command was executed correctly, so everything's okay. We don't have any error. But still, something happened here. That's strange. Once again, very, very, very strange. I mean, where do we even have the problem? Because we were in the handler, and the handler was okay. Delete post. So we actually got until this point. Yeah, let's run it again. But no, because right now this is not how we want to run it, because we want to debug it. We'll also hit the breakpoints. Alt F5. Okay. So first of all, we need to create a post once again, and for that we need to get user ID or user profile ID. But I guess we have it here. Oh, we don't. But we'll paste it in the notepad so that we'll have it at hand, so we don't need to actually run this request every time. Okay, so we just get a user ID, which would be this one, the very first one. Okay, cool. So we can now go to the post create, try it out. User profile ID. Okay. Hello world. And that should create it. I don't expect any problem here right now. Oh, we also had a breakpoint here. Okay. So let's just go there. Okay, so right now we have this, and the post ID in this case is this one. Newly created one. So let's go back to the delete. Try it out. ID. Okay, and we hit this breakpoint. So we hit this one, which is the delete, and we have seen that everything is okay here. So if we actually click on resum execution, we hit this breakpoint. And also here we were able to see that everything is okay till here. Now, if we click this one, we have this result. And this result is error equals false, and the payload is... oh my god. I guess I'm totally tired. I know what the problem is. Yeah, let's... because we want to return no content. No, not found. Not found. We return this message ourselves. Oh my god. I'm not sure what's wrong with me today, but it seems... I don't know, maybe I'm just tired. And this one will surely resolve the problem. So I won't even check that anymore. Because we were returning not found instead of no content. And that's why we got the not found, because we were returning that. So yeah, that's quite weird. Cool. Okay, but what happens right now here? Why, if I click, what? Okay, strange. Strange things happen. Okay, but we are good with this one. I would like right now to sources are modified, changes will apply. Okay, because we also need to close the application. That's a nice thing in Rider, that you also have to close down the application. And when you close the browser, it doesn't automatically shut down your web application that is running still in the console. So yeah, that's one thing. Good. I would like to take a short break, 10 minutes break, and I will continue then with a part that I guess it will be very nice, because we will talk about nested resources. Just to give a sneak peek into what this means. Now we have this post aggregate in our domain model. Now in this post aggregate, we have right now the functionality to actually add the comment. So users will be able to comment on a specific post. So we should create an API endpoint for that. And also users should be able to actually create an interaction for that post. So we would also have to provide a functionality in our API to do just that. So that's what I want to implement next, and for that probably we'll be using that concept of nested resources. Now the only thing is for now that but maybe add the comment, but you can maybe even delete your comment or edit your comment. So yeah, it's actually full create, update, and delete the comment. And the only thing is that yeah, you would also have it's a full nested resource. So yeah, we'll actually talk about that right after the break and try to implement it. So please stay tuned. Don't go away. Maybe grab something to drink, because I'll be here for at least 1 more hour. So stay tuned, and we'll catch up just in a few minutes. Okay, so we are back. Hope you're still there. And I have thought a little bit. Right now we'll implement these nested resources for comment, but for interaction, I will actually create an issue on the GitHub repository, and feel free to take it and implement it by yourself, and then create a pull request. And I guess that's the first thing where you can already jump in if you want. And I would really appreciate that if this kind of project will also become like a small community project. That would be awesome. Okay, so what we want to do here we have this post comments. So we want to actually handle that also. Now in the post comment here as an entity, we have this comment ID, we have this post ID. Okay, we have this text, we have the user profile ID, which is actually the author of the comment, and date created and last modified. So the only thing that we need to post when we create a comment is actually the text for that, and we'll get the post ID and the comment ID from the routing params, and we'll also need user profile ID actually. So these are the two properties that we will need. But if we want to implement this, we have actually to start actually kind of like from the beginning. And the beginning, what I mean by that is that we have somewhere here, where is that class API route? We have to define some routes here for this nested resource. And first of all, public const string. It will be post all post comments or post comments, just. And here, what would be, we will need first of all the post ID, and then it would be slash comment. So that would be the endpoint for comments. Then if we want to get just a single comment, although I'm not sure if we want to do that, to get just a single content, because you would probably just want to update the text of a single comment. So that would be the only thing, but just getting one comment, it really doesn't make any sense. If I think also about Facebook, you just see all the comments, you can just see one comment. So yeah, in that case, we won't have an endpoint for comment by ID, but we'll have const string, and it would be if we want to actually delete or update. Or no, let's comment by ID. Let's name it like this, because what we'll have here is, once again, it should be like this, post ID, then it would be comments, and then it would be comment ID. And this is what we'll use for the update and the delete. So that's the whole idea of having nested resources. Now this one we won't change because we already used this for validate GUID and we use this key. But for these new ones, we'll actually have those. So we have defined our routes. This is the first thing. Now the next thing that we would have to create is actually here in the contract, because we have here a response. Let's call this post comment response. And this post comment response, where do we have that post comment? We said that we just want these two properties, and just let's make sure that we remove the private setters, because then we'll have the exact same problem that we already had. And that's not something that we would like to do. And instead of GUID, I will have this as a string, of course. And as said, let's remove the private keyword here from the setters, because otherwise Swagger and we actually won't be able to set anything here, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, so we have then defined the routes. We have created this this post comment response. Then we'll have also I guess here we'll need the comment create. I'm thinking, so we have this post comment response, and then we'll have this comment create, where what we will need to do is actually we need also this these two properties, but I still want to keep these two contracts separate, even if right now the properties will be the same, because they might change individually, so they have separate reasons for change. And from my point of view, that's actually a very, very important thing, because everybody's saying, hey, don't repeat yourself, and yeah, use inheritance and stuff like that, or extract things into a method. But from my point of view, this would not be a code duplication, and it's not repeating ourselves, because if even if you have the same properties, but if the reason for change of that specific place is different than where you have the copy of that, then it is not repeating itself, because it has a different reason for change. At least this is how I see things. And until now, actually, it proved to be fairly okay like that, because if you use a lot of inheritance and things like that, it gets messy and buggy very, very fast. So what I would like to actually do here is also create here a class in the, but not in the responses. Not in the responses, because here we already have post a comment response, but in the request, so what people are sending to us, and post comment create, and for now we'll just assume that we will have exactly the same things for the create. Okay, and we'll have here also a post comment update, because here in this post comment update we won't need user profile ID, because if you want to update a comment, you can't just update the author of the comment. The author will stay the same, so the only thing that you can update at the comment is the text. So that's why we have a different construct for that one. Okay, and then the other thing that we have to think about is the profiles. Where do we have here the mapping profiles? Post mappings, okay. Comments belong to a post, so we're at that here. Create map. Okay, so what do we need to create? So first, we need to create post comment to post comment response. This is the first thing that we need. Then I guess we don't really need something else for now, because we'll put all the details for updating a post comment or creating a post comment in the command itself. So I guess that's the only map that we would need for now. Okay, so then we can head back to our controller, and we are still in the same post controller. So first of all, let's implement the endpoint for getting the comments. So public async, of course, task of action result, and here get post comments. Good. And here we will have a get, but we will also need to specify a route, because this is an ACID resource. So the route would be API routes posts, and to the term post comments. That should be the route for that. And if we take a look at that once again, it has the post ID and comments. Okay, so that's okay. Good. So we have this get and the route, and that's actually everything that we need. Now the only thing that we need here is string post ID that we'll get for the route, and the post ID will actually be a GUID. So we will have to use this filter that we have created, and right now we have named this key post ID so that it would validate if it is a valid GUID. That's the whole point behind that, so that we don't have to do the validation each time that we get into a method. We have extracted that to a central place, which is in this case an action filter. Okay. So we have created, I guess that should be enough. Now, of course, the next thing is we need, once again, here, this is a query. Okay, class interface, get post comments in the queries. But you know, the problem is, let's rename that. Or no, let's not rename that. Let's rename, not this one. Let's rename here, list comments. Okay. Or even better, get comments by post ID. Okay, because there would have been a naming clash, and that's the whole reason why I wanted to change this name here. Okay, so let's go back to the query that we had. Now, in the query, where do we? I guess this is the one. So it's an I request that would return an. Let's add the missing usings here. Okay, so it would return an operation result of post comment. Of course, this is part of our domain layer, and that's okay. So here we would need public GUID post ID. That's what we need here in this query. Okay. So we are good with this one, and then we need a query handler. How did we call this? Get post comments. Okay, so add new class, get post comments handler. Okay, so this would be an I request handler of get post comments. Okay, and it will return once again an operation result. Where is this? I don't really see operation result of, but you know what? This would actually be a list of post comment. So we actually need to also get here in this comment, and it's not a post comment, but it's a list of post comment instead. Okay, now we should be okay with that. Now, of course, in this handler, we just need to implement the interface, public async ask. Okay. So, private read only data context, and we need a constructor for that, and data context, and just make sure that we assign everything here. Okay, now what we do here in this one? Well, here, first of all, var result equals a new operation result of list of post comment. Okay. And then let's put everything in a try to also catch exceptions if we have. Now here right now that's a query, maybe just EF core will throw an exception. Did we implement exceptions here in the queries? Unfortunately not. Or in this one, yeah, we have. Yeah, and that's actually what we also need to do here. Okay, and then at the end we just return the result. And what we actually need to do is var comments equals context, and we have also comments, I guess. No, we don't have. Okay, okay. Post and user profiles. Now the reason why I haven't added the comments as a DB set is because comments actually belong to the post, and we have this concept of an aggregate. So it means that if we want to actually access the comments, it should be through the aggregate route or through the post. So we'll have here posts dot. Actually, we need here a where. And here for each post, we want actually to get only the posts for which the post ID equals to a request dot post ID, and then we will have here a to list async. Okay, now the only thing is that we would also need to of course error codes here. Let's also fix that. Where let's just hit include. So for the post, I just want to also include the comment. Okay. Cool. And now I can simply say, for instance, that result payload equals, and this is actually not comments but posts, and posts dot no, actually this is only one post. Sorry, I got a little bit confused. And then we actually don't need this where at all. And we just need a first or default here. And here we'll put the condition in this first or default. So once again, we want a post for which the post ID equals to request dot post ID. Okay, so then the result or the payload would be post dot comments. Okay, I guess we have to look into our post class a little bit, because we have okay post. So what we have this enumerable of post comment, and we actually so we have this get we have this getter. Why are we not able to actually see those comments? Okay, that's another strange thing. Not this one, not even this one. Sorry, because this post, oh my god, of course we need to wait that. Yeah, that would be the payload. And since this is an enumerable, we need to actually make a to list of it, and it should be okay right now. Okay, so right now we should be able to get all the comments for a certain post. If we get an error message, then or if we get an exception, we just create our error and then we will return the error back. Cool. So let's go back to our controller and implement that. So first of all, we have var query equals new. How did we name get post comments? That was the query, and post ID equals to, and the post ID in this case should be a GUID, I guess, if I recall correctly. I'm not sure why Rider doesn't GUID.parse. Okay, and we know that we want to parse the post ID. Okay, so we get a GUID. This is the query then, so we should be good with that one. Now, var result equals await mediator.send, and we send the query. Mediator will find the handler and will return us the result. Now the only thing is if we get an error, so we'll just return result is error. So if it is an error, if that's true, in that case we'll have this handle error response and we'll pass in the errors. Okay, otherwise we'll just return an okay, but we need to map the var comment equals. Now the only problem is, and here I guess we will do that differently, because the only problem is that if the result is error, we just want to handle the response. Because if we try to do the mapping and that is null, that will throw us another error. So we want we don't want to have that here. So in this case we have to actually redo this a little bit. So if result.is error, and in that case we just handle error response, and else var comments equals mapper.map. What do we want to map here? We want to map to a list of post comment response, and the source for this mapping should be result.payload. Okay, so we have this, and in this case we can just return okay in the comments. Okay, so we are good with that. That should work fine, I guess. So this would be the getting all the comments for a certain post. Okay, right now for a post we don't want to get a single comment. I'm thinking also about Facebook. So if you get a post, you get to see either all the comments, but you can't see only one comment. So we won't expose such a functionality. But what we need to expose is, of course, adding a comment, which is well, maybe the most important part here right now. And for that we'll have a new method, public async task. First, that's generic of action result. Add comment post. Okay, so how do we do that? It's a nested resource. So if we make a post to the endpoint, for the comments, it should simply add the comment to the post, because that's how a post works. HTTP post. Okay. Now the only thing is we would have to specify the route, and of course not misspell things. Cool. So right now we have here the route. Now the API route in this case should be API routes dot posts, and then it would be this main post comments route. So if we made a post here, then we know exactly what we want to do. So here we also need to validate the GUID of the post. post ID. So we just do that. And we'll also have to validate the model. By the way, talking about models, so it requests post comment create. That's what we would have. The user profile ID later on will probably take directly from a JOT token, but right now we don't have authorization and authentication, so we just will provide it manually. But in any case, just a minimum validation is that should be required, and that should be required as well. Okay, good. And I guess we'll do for the same thing here. We have a very basic model validation on the API level, which is okay. And yeah, these are the only two that we have created right now. Cool. So here the only thing is that we would need, first of all, string post ID, and then from body, what we'll need here is post comment create. And this would be the incoming comment in the body. Cool. So we have this post ID, which is a GUID, which gets validated by this action filter. So I guess that should be okay. And then we have here this comment, and that would, okay, here we have to validate model also. Our other custom filter, validate model. Okay, so that our model gets automatically validated so that we don't have to do any checks directly here in this action. Okay, so what we need to do then? Well, we need to create a command and a command handler next. So let's just do that. So we have here a command for the posts. We are still on the posts. This is a nested resource. And how should we call this? How should we call this? Add comment to post. Okay. We'll name this a little bit differently. Add post comment. That would be the name of our command. So it will be an I request, and it will return the created comment. Okay, Alt Enter, import reference. So it will return an operation result of post comment. Okay, in domain aggregates post aggregate. That's correct. Okay, and here what we'll need to do, public GUID post ID. Get set. And what we'll also need here is public GUID user profile ID. And what we'll also need here is a public string comment text. Let's do it like that. And I guess that's all the information that we have to pass from the controller to the handler. And yeah, that's how we will do that. Now we also need a handler for that. Of course, class interface. How did we call that? Add post comment. Add post comment handler. Okay. And this would be an I request handler of add post comment. Okay, and it will return once again an operation result of post. Okay, and we'll just need to implement the interface. So once again, that will be async. And we'll need, of course, the data context of private read only data context Okay, and we'll need the constructor for that. Of course, here we need to add the references that we need and the data context CTX, and let's just assign that. Cool. So right now we are good with that. Now what we had to do here is, first of all, var result equals new operation result of post comment. Okay, and then yeah, let's maybe add here a try and catch. Once again, the generic here thing, we will just use that. We'll probably extract this at a certain point in a pipeline behavior in Mediator, so that we don't have a lot of code duplication here. Okay, what's the problem? Okay, import missing. And then at the end, return a result. Okay, but for now we'll live with that. But that's also already a point where we need to do a little bit of refactoring. Cool. So right now we just want to do the following thing. So first of all, we need to actually get the post. So var post equals await context dot posts dot first or default async. And what we want to do is actually here we are looking for a post for which the post ID equals to what we have in the request as post ID. Okay, now the first thing that we would have to take into consideration is, like it happens when we have, for instance, get by ID, is that post might be null. So we might get a GUID that is not pointing to a valid post. So in that case, we'll just handle this type of scenario. Where is it? So if we don't find any post, then well, if post is null, then we simply say is error, we create a new error, and then we return the result. So everything's okay with that. Now, if the post is okay, then the next thing that we would need to do, and here, I guess, but I guess it has a field in behind, so I guess everything should be okay. But we'll see this probably very, very shortly. So what we will need to do here is we will need to create a comment. Var comment equals comment or post comment dot create post comment. And now in this create post comment, what we need to provide is the post ID, the text, and the user profile ID. Okay, so we have all this information in our request that is coming. So post ID, then we need the text, and then we need the user profile ID. And right now everything should be good to go. However, this might also throw an exception. So we need to catch that. Before we catch the generic exception, catch. No, I don't want everything. So once again, post comment not valid exception. Okay. Here it is. Okay. Now in this case, if the provided information here is not valid, which essentially means that the text is not valid, I guess we have a validation of on the length of the text, but if that is not valid, then it will simply throw this error. That's how we implemented that. And we have used Fluent validation to do the domain model validation, or the validation that we do on the domain model itself. So right now, if we get this error, we are actually in the same scenario like we are here in this create post, where we get this post not valid exception. So we actually need to do exactly the same thing. So we will do that. Okay. And yeah, let's maybe just rename this to E so that everything should work. And yeah, everything should be fine right now. So post comment on valid exception. This is one exception that we could get. Okay, so and if this didn't throw an error and if we actually didn't hit this catch block, it means that everything was okay. So it means that we have a comment. And the way that we do this is on the post, we have this add post comment. And we just provide a comment to that. And this means that this post comment will be added to the list of the comments. Everything happens on the domain model itself. That's why we have a rich domain model. And after that, actually, we already have this updated list. So it means that we can make here context.posts.update. And we want to update the post and await context.save changes async. And if everything was okay, result.payload equals comment. And that's what we actually return, which should be okay. So I guess that we are fairly okay with this handler right now. We wouldn't need anything else from that one. So we can go back here to the post controller and try actually to implement it. And let's see if we have everything that we actually need. So var common equals new, how did we call that? Add post comment. Okay. And here we will have this object initializer. So here what we have in this one, we have post ID, and that should be equal to GUID.parse, and we parse this post ID that we get from the route actually. And if we arrive this far, this already means that this has been validated and it can be parsed to a GUID. So we don't have to take care about that anymore. So we are good with that. Now, the only thing here is that we need to do is to validate user profile ID, which is actually from the body. So we cannot validate it directly on that action filter because it's in the body. Or maybe we'll think about a way to do that. But until then, var var user profile ID equals GUID dot does it try parse? What does it actually do? Okay. Is valid GUID. Try parse. What we want to parse is comment and the user profile ID, and out var user profile ID. Okay. Now the problem is that if things are not okay here, so if it is not a valid GUID, then what we would like to do is, where do we have this handle response method? Because this handle response method would actually expect an errors. These errors are from the application layer, so we don't want to create them directly here. So what do we want to do? API error. Okay. Yeah, let's let's create this error response, because this is something that's from our layer. You know what? Let me maybe just copy this all over so that we don't write everything from scratch. So yeah, let's go back here, and of course, yeah, if the GUID is not valid, now we have new error response. Okay, let's add that. Okay, now if errors any, so this is not something that we actually need, because we are not looking into an array of something. Instead, we just want to create an error itself. Okay, this is also not something that we need. So the status code would be 400. Status phrase would be bad request. Okay. The timestamp would be okay, and API errors add. And here we'll just, what's happening here? Okay. Provided user profile ID is not in a valid GUID format. Okay. And then we just return not found, but we return bad request if this is not valid. But if it is valid, then what we have here is that user profile ID equals, and the out variable is user profile ID. Okay, and the text would be equal to, how did we call that one? Comment dot text. Okay, so right now we would have the command. So the next thing that we would have to do is var result equals await mediator dot send, and we send the command. Okay, and then we get the result back. So here is once again what we can do. If result dot is error, in that case we'll just return handle error response, and then we'll just provide the errors. Otherwise, what we want to do is var comment. Oh, sorry, what here we just create a new comment. So we just want, yeah, it's just one single comment, equals mapper.map. We want to map to a post comment response, and the source for that mapping is result.payload. It would be okay. We have comment here. Okay, let's call this new comment. Okay, and then here we won't return a created, because yeah, it's a creation. So I guess we'll just return an okay here. New comment, because it's not the creation per se. It's a little bit different. Okay, and then what's the problem here? Bad request. Okay, and I guess we'll just try this out right now. Maybe I'll just create another issue for implementing, updating, and actually also updating a certain comment. I guess those two issues will be nice to go, because to be honest, it's fairly late right now, and I'm a little bit tired. So I might also want to actually stop this for now. So let's see. Do we have problems? No, we don't have any problems. Okay. So that's nice. Do we have user profile ID in our notepad? No, we don't. Okay, so let's run this application. Let's run this application and see our nested resources or our nested resource working. Hopefully, of course. Okay, so what we will need is, first of all, user profile ID. That's something that we will need. Okay, so we get this. Let me maybe just paste it also in the notepad that I have open here. Just that we have that, okay? So that we don't need always to do this. Cool, but I guess we also don't have a post right now. So, because I guess we have deleted that. So I guess we have to also create a post first. Yes, yes, we do that. So post, try it out. Now the user profile ID is something that we just copied, and hello world. Okay, that's the post that we create for this user right now. And we have this 201 created, so the post was created. Now the post ID, let's just maybe also have it in this notepad somewhere. Okay, that would be the post ID right now that we are working on. Okay, so in this one, you see that we have these two endpoints, which is the get post comments. And if we try it out theoretically, I would expect that we will get an empty list. And I still try it out, because if there would be an error, then we would have probably received an error. So I guess it just worked, but the list is empty. But that's gonna change right now, because we want to try this out. So we have this post ID. Okay, we have this string you missed an exclamation mark. Okay, and we need then the user profile ID, which is here. Okay, so we have that one. So let's see. Executed 201, and we get this text, and we get this user profile ID, which is okay. So let's try then this get once again. And to see that we get it. So it means that everything works fine. We are able to actually add a comment to our post. And similarly to what we have done here with adding the comment and getting the comments, we will be also able to implement the update comment and the delete comment. The delete comment, once again, you have to actually make sure that delete means that you actually want to remove the comment from the post. So you just have to remove it from the list, and then also that would remove it from the database. But as I already said, I guess I will create right now 2 issues on GitHub. One issue would be for implementing this remove comment from post. Another issue would be for update a comment to a certain post. And then I will also create issues for the other nested resource, which is the post interaction. So yeah, I guess that's something that that you could pick up if you want. As said, I really want this project to maybe become a real community project. That's why I share everything on GitHub. So you might just feel free to take one of the issues that I will create, and yeah, just do a fork of this repository, do your work, and then make a pull request, and I will check that, and we'll merge that. Maybe we'll do code reviews also directly on stream. So I'm not sure if we do that or not. It depends also if you would like to do that, or if you have no problem with that. But I really would like to, or would love to see that we got also you involved into this project, so that I'm not the only one that is actually writing code here. So yeah, but that would be it, I guess, for today. Thank you very, very much for watching. And please stay safe. And well, hopefully we'll meet very, very soon again here during our live stream. So, but until then, I really wish you the very best. So, bye.